Good afternoon, everybody. Could I start by apologising to anybody who's listening on the webcast for the running of this meeting of the Joint Standards Committee Assessment Subcommittee. Unfortunately, the meeting before overran and we were waiting for the room. I do apologise sincerely for anybody who's been waiting. The first item on the agenda then is the appointment of chair. Anybody interested will be aware that I chaired the last meeting, and since this is actually a continuation from that which was adjourned, I've been asked to chair this meeting once again. Second item on the agenda would be declaration of interest. Could I ask anybody if they've got any interests which have come to light previously that they'd now like to declare? And as I always say at these things, if during the conversation you ever become uncomfortable, please make that declaration at that point so that we can consider it. Item 3 then is the exclusion of press. We need to consider the exclusion of press and public from the meeting during the consideration of item number 4, Code of Conduct complaint received against the City of York Councillor, on the grounds that it contains information relating to an individual. This information is classified as exempt under paragraph 1 of Schedule 12A to section 100A of the Local Government Act 1972 as amended by the Local Government Assessment Access to Information Variation Order of 2006. Is everybody quite happy that we take exemption at that point? Thank you very much. We'll take item 4, which is the officer's report on this particular case. So just for clarity, so everybody knows where we're going, we'll be taking the report in public report, and we will take questions, but I would ask members if they would be careful not to identify any details in that which could lead back to the individual concerned if they have any questions. Monetary Officer.
Thank you, Chair. On the 23rd of April 2021, this assessment subcommittee received an investigation report and considered the options which are listed at the recommendations section on page 3. As part of the consideration of those options, the subcommittee considered the draft report and recommended that further investigation take place. Therefore, the report was returned to the investigating officer at the assessment subcommittee's request. The investigating officer has now concluded their further investigation and has found that the councillor did not breach the Code of Conduct. The report and the updating material is provided as a part 2 item or with the exclusion of the press and public, given the reasons that you've outlined earlier in this meeting, Chair, but I'm happy to answer any questions that are of a public nature.
Thank you for that. I'm happy to throw it open for questions that relate to that report in itself. Then all I would add before we go into private session is that I believe that that report and what you've said there accurately denotes what happened at the last meeting, which is a public record at that point as well.
Yes, Chair, I can confirm that the investigating officer was provided with all of your observations to take into account as part of the further investigatory work that you asked to be undertaken. And so they were provided with a detailed list of your observations and the questions that you had raised as part of that. And I have ensured that those have been addressed.
Thank you. I think we're going to have to go into private session if people are happy, because the questions I have relate to details that would identify the individual. Yeah. Is everybody quite happy with that?
Yes.
Just before we do, for the public, since this is the last item and we don't know how long it's going to be, I do not intend to restart the webcast after that deliberation. I will be closing the meeting immediately following. Members happy?
Happy.
Thank you. Could we go into private session, please?